Before I implement the game's next big feature, I want to implement some of the assets that I received during the month of May. By sheer coincidence, everything that I implemented over the past 2 weeks involved buckets. Dumping a bucket of water onto a girl will cause her to run to the locker room to change her clothing. Up until now, the player only had 2 opportunities to do this, during an event on Monday and during an event on Wednesday. If the player was allowed to throw a bucket of water at a girl during any point in time, the player would have a massive advantage. They'd have the ability to interrupt the girl's schedule at any time and force her to run to a location where she would be alone and defenseless. However, a rival's daily routine will be carefully designed so that she is always in full view of several witnesses. It would be very foolish for Yandere-chan to chuck a bucket of water at her rival in full view of other students, because it would cause her reputation to drop sharply. If a teacher sees Yandere-chan throwing buckets of water at people, she would immediately be sent to the guidance counselor's office. And if Senpai sees Yandere-chan doing anything cruel, he would despise her, resulting in an instant game over. So, how can Yandere-chan soak her rivals in water without being punished for it? By making it look like an accident. In the most recent build of the game, I've given Yandere-chan the ability to trip and fall down. That might not seem like much, but this allows you to soak someone in water without anyone realizing that it was intentional. Instead of looking like a cruel jerk, you'll just look like a ditzy, clumsy anime girl. After all, the point of the game is hiding your true nature as a sociopath and pretending to be an innocent girl. Here's what it looks like in action.
Ugh, seriously? Be more careful.
The person who got soaked with water will get angry with you and damage your reputation with gossip. But if you apologize for your actions and compliment them, you can recover some of your lost reputation. Or you can simply eliminate them in the locker room when there aren't any witnesses. The ability to interrupt a girl's schedule and force her to go to the locker room without drawing any suspicion to yourself is an extremely powerful advantage. So Yandere-chan should not have this ability right from the start of the game. The player should have to earn this ability. Yandere-chan can collect manga and read them in her home. Maybe one of the manga she can collect could be about a ditzy, clumsy girl. Reading this manga could give Yandere-chan ideas for ways to perform cruel actions while pretending to be clumsy. Another possibility is that the idea of pretending to be clumsy will not occur to Yandere-chan until she witnesses another student being clumsy. Perhaps some of Yandere-chan's most powerful actions should not be available until Yandere-chan takes a photograph of a student performing that action. This would be similar to a feature from the Yakuza series, where the protagonist uses his phone to record bizarre situations that inspire him to invent new combat techniques. If the player abuses any ability too much, it should lose its effectiveness. For example, if Yandere-chan constantly falls down and soaks people with water, she should get a reputation as a clumsy girl, and students should never let their guard down when they see her with a bucket. The rivals in the second half of the game are much more formidable than the rivals at the beginning of the game. Some of these rivals have such fast reflexes that they would probably dodge the water before it hits them. In other words, if this ability seems overpowered, don't worry, it'll be balanced appropriately. Water isn't the only type of liquid that you should be able to throw directly at someone. Framing someone for a crime should be difficult, so perhaps Yandere-chan should be required to splash a student with someone's blood in order to frame that student for murder. The act of splashing someone with a bucket of blood will always look suspicious, whether or not the player is pretending to be clumsy. So, for these situations, there should probably just be an animation for throwing a bucket of liquid directly at someone. It would be the player's responsibility to avoid doing this in a situation that would result in a harsh penalty. This feature isn't in the game yet. Speaking of liquids, a new type of liquid has been added to the game: gasoline. The player can now pick up a jerry can and empty it into a bucket. I've also added a new item to InfoChan's drop list: a box of matches. You can now ask InfoChan to drop you a matchbox. When holding a matchbox, you can tap a button to throw a match in front of you. Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
What is this? It smells like gasoline?
By the way, this isn't the only new way to kill someone in the latest build. I've added a new weapon to the game: dumbbells. You can only carry one at a time, but if you load them into a bucket, you can carry 5 at once, but only if your physical stat is high enough. If you want to boost your physical stat quickly, try joining the gaming club and playing a fighting game. That should give you the strength you need. Once you have a bucket of weights, killing your rival just requires you to be in the right place at the right time. Of course, in the final game, the weights will probably be hidden across the map, and may require a very high physical stat in order to carry. Also, instead of standing in a convenient place automatically, your rival should probably only stand in the right position after being manipulated by the player. Remember, getting away with murder should not be easy. I'll probably spend the next couple of weeks continuing to implement assets that volunteers have been delivering to me. I'll probably begin implementing the matchmaking elimination method sometime in June. Thank you for following the development of Yandere Simulator.